Acum este momentul să facem introducerea primului invitat din Zoom, pentru că evenimentul nostru este unul hibrid, care se desfășoară pe de o parte în acest studio amenajat, așa cum am spus, la Iași, aici unde facem transmisiunea live, și primul nostru speaker pe care îl invităm și îi dăm cuvântul este domnul Cristian Wagner, este Team Leader EU4Youth, Youth Engagement Roadmaps Project, care ne va vorbi despre antreprenoriat social în țările parteneriatului estic, încurajarea implicării tinerilor în economia socială. Bună ziua! Domnul Wagner a ocupat poziția de Deputy Team Leader pentru cel mai mare program de formare în management MTP, finanțat de UE, acoperind până la 7...
Good morning, everybody. It's for me a great pleasure to be here. I'm not sure whether you can hear me already, because I have some overlap also in the voice, but I hope it will be working out fine. If you just allow me also to start my presentation. Let me see whether I will be the first one who will be also coping with the challenges which we are still facing, even after, I would say, now more than 1 year of the pandemic and being forced to have this kind of virtual get-together. But once again, thank you very much for having this opportunity to present and also to be invited here as a guest, also as member of the EU4Youth program family. As you have already said, I'm representing one of the EU4Youth projects called Youth Engagement Roadmaps. And we are here in order to also not only address issues of social entrepreneurship, but also it particularly addresses issues of this young youth participation in these countries. When we look at what we are doing here, it's, I think, very obvious that youth social entrepreneurship, or let's say social entrepreneurship in general, and youth engagement are very closely related. For us, and we understand this also from the perspective of fostering youth policy participation, social businesses and social economy is one definite means of also engaging young people into active civic life and also to make a valuable contribution to the development of society, but also of their own personality and their active, I would say, role to face in society after, for example, having finished and finalized education. Our project itself is concentrating on 3 main elements, which I would like to highlight. First of all, we are in this case providing some substantial thematic reviews on also social entrepreneurship in general, but also on education, training, and labor market and youth employment in general. This kind of thematic reviews, which we have been conducting on all the 6 Eastern Partnership countries, which we are covering within our regional project, have already been completed for Ukraine, Moldova, Armenia, Georgia, and will soon be completed also in Belarus and also for Azerbaijan. What we also are doing is, we are of course trying to foster youth dialogue and youth employment partnerships. A very useful tool in order to strengthen also what we call the Eastern Partnership Youth Dialogue, which again addresses not only issues of employment of young people, but also how to engage them and to make them to leaders in entrepreneurial activities, but also to become also active in setting up entrepreneurial mindsets in general. We in this case also are fostering especially cross-sector dialogue, which means when we see also that education and entrepreneurship are closely interrelated and build upon each other, then definitely we are also here in order to support, let's say, capacity building activities in social entrepreneurship. Last but not least, we are supporting so-called policy labs. Policy labs are understood from our point of view as unique series of events bringing together also young people, but also key policy stakeholders and decision makers in order to discuss, I would say, issues of social relevance and importance. This could be also, once again, issues linked to how to support and foster social businesses. It could be also issues linked to how to strengthen youth and foster youth employment, youth policy participation at various levels, municipal level, regional level, or national level. But coming back now to our topic, We also did some, I would say, preliminary research about social entrepreneurship in the Eastern Partnership countries, and I'm very happy that this, I would say, very important conference is especially covering also the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine as partner countries in this project. But as I already said, we are covering in this case 6 countries in this project, where we can observe that in all the 6 countries, social enterprises not only exist, but they only prevail, and they also bring also substantial benefit to the population and to the societies at local or at municipal level. What we see is that we have some common denominator. Many of these projects are facing social challenges linked, for example, to people with disabilities or vulnerable groups in general. We do see that they are often linked to issues linked to green economy, to also supporting rural development, but also to, for example, tackle issues, for example, like sustainable tourism or others. So we see a broad range of social businesses prevailing in these countries. And when we look also at the numbers, which we can see here, we see that there's quite an uneven picture. Also, if this maybe first statistic, which has been also compiled by one of our experts, is not, let's say, fully complete, we definitely can say that we face, that we can see a lot of, let's say, social enterprises existing, of course, in Ukraine, also if it comes to the being the largest country in the Eastern Partnership region. But we also see that, according to latest information, the number of social enterprises has also increased in Azerbaijan. But as you can imagine, we still see lots of room for scaling up social businesses and social economy in general. What I would like to highlight here when looking also at the map is that when we are talking about, let's say, the challenges social businesses face in the Eastern Partnership countries, most of these challenges are still also common prevailing in the European Union. And therefore, I think it's very important that with this project, you are also here hosting this conference today, are also bringing in substantial experience from the European Union. But what I would like to highlight here one more is that we also do see a major and substantial initiative between the OECD and the European Union, which is called the Global Action to Promote Social and Solidarity Economy Ecosystems. This project, which has been started last year, is especially fostering the further upscaling of social businesses in the EU 27 countries, plus also countries like Brazil, India, Canada, the United States, or Mexico. And as you can see from this, let's say, narration of all these countries, we are covering here a large number of population in the world in order to understand better what are the main, I would say, features and what needs to be done to support social and solidarity economy ecosystems development, how to raise awareness and to build capacity for local ecosystems for social entrepreneurship, or to promote knowledge also at international level. What I think is very important here, that this OECD project is also especially addressing issues like legal frameworks and also social impact monitoring, which is, I think, something which is especially important when we look at the elements of social enterprise ecosystems in the Eastern Partnership countries. I think today you will have so many panels and discussions and also presentations about, I would say, nearly all of these aspects mentioned here, so that I would like to highlight only 2 out of these elements of the social enterprise ecosystem. The first one is linked to the legal frameworks. You do have, for example, this law on social economy in Romania. We do have in many of the Eastern Partnership countries already laws which support also social businesses to the various extent. But is it really necessary to have a specific legislation framework for social enterprises? And if yes, to which extent? Do we always also have in mind the expected and also unintended consequences? As you said, there is the law in Romania, which you also need to reflect upon the implementation measures, where you also would set up a working group in order to see how it's really fitting with the needs. I think that's something which you also have to see in the Eastern Partnership countries when we have there a more stronger involvement of the various stakeholders in setting up these legal frameworks. When we talk about education, which is the second point I would like to highlight, also taking into account the limited amount of time I do have, then I think it's very important that we also say that the formal education on social entrepreneurship is key. I just completed the project in the Kyrgyz Republic where we set up for the VET system, not only a textbook and a module on entrepreneurship education, including social entrepreneurship, but we also developed a national concept on how to introduce entrepreneurship education at VET level. And I can tell you that this has been a major discussion among various stakeholders, whether it's really needed, and if yes, what are the benefits to that? And I expect also interesting discussions when we are talking to our stakeholders in the Eastern Partnership region, how to strengthen especially the educational side of social entrepreneurship and businesses. One aspect I would like to highlight here, and then I'm also coming to an end with my presentation, is that we probably shall start with social entrepreneurship education already very early, ideally also in primary education. Austria here is an excellent example with their Youth Start Entrepreneurial Challenges program for primary schools, which has been implemented very successfully in piloting schools and now is rolled out in Austria in general. My very distinguished colleague, Professor Lindner, has been developing in this sphere a lot of, I would say, interesting approaches, also methodologically, but also didactical ones, which can be also applied to the Eastern Partnership countries, adapted, of course, to the social context there, and, of course, taking into account also the prevailing conditions. We face challenges, lack of educators. We face challenges linked to the theory still based education and the lack and the missing link to the practitioners, but I think these are challenges to be overcome. Our project itself, and this is my last slide, will also assist the development of social entrepreneurship in the Eastern Partnership region by organizing 2 more regional events, most likely virtual ones, where we also will first present successful models of social enterprises for application in the Eastern Partnership region, bring together all the stakeholders from the 6 countries. We would like to have a second regional event where we will focus more on the ecosystem of the aspects of social entrepreneurship, and especially how to provide better access to education, formal as well as informal one, for young people to learn more and also to practice, ideally, some elements of social entrepreneurship. And last but not least, we will also provide in Azerbaijan and also in Belarus specific capacity building activities, trainings on key aspects of social entrepreneurship. And last but not least, we are also conducting, as I already said, policy labs, and at least 2 out of 12 policy labs we will be conducting in the 16 partnership countries will be focusing on entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship issues. So having said this, I'm very much looking forward to learning more about the outcomes and also the discussions on social entrepreneurship and social businesses in Ukraine, Moldova, and also Romania. And I once again would like to thank all of you for the ability to present here and to participate in this, I would say, very important and relevant conference. I wish you all interesting and inspiring discussions, and thanks again to all those organizers for making this event happen. Thank you very much.
Mulțumim foarte mult, Cristian Wagner, pentru această prezentare despre engaging young people, da? Despre implicarea tinerilor în economia socială și modul în care se fac legăturile cu cei care fac efectiv politicile. Am notat întrebările mai mult sau mai puțin retorice legate de nevoia sau necesitatea unor reglementări, nevoia de legi în această direcție și de asemenea este foarte, foarte important din punctul meu de vedere ce ați spus legat de începerea educației în direcția economiei sociale și a antreprenoriatului social de foarte, foarte devreme, lucru care conduce la succes, așa cum ați spus. Mulțumim încă o dată!